Glad to have you back on the program. We're still here on Daybreak Africa, and of course, it's Business Tuesday. You know how we do it on this program every Tuesday. We bring you hot stories, hot topics, and we bring guests to talk about issues or topics that would help you grow financially. Today is no less, and we'll be talking about monetizing digitalization. Now, for me personally, over the past few months or over a year, we've been seeing a lot of trends on social media, across board generally, and a lot of talks about learning AI, learning tech, learning anything that has to do with digitalization. And there's been a lot of noise about it. And of course, it has gotten to the extent where people now say digitalization is the future or tech is the future. Joining us to talk about monetizing digitalization this beautiful Tuesday morning is a software developer and a startup owner in his own right. We have with us Abiodun Bamigboye joining us to talk this morning. Good morning, Abiodun.
Oh, good morning.
Good to have you on the program.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's delve straight into today's topic. Now, I think I want to start the topic from a more personal view, based on the fact that you're someone I know and you're someone whom I've witnessed his growth over, let's say, about a period of 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I know that a lot of people are skeptical. They're not so sure about owning their own startup when it comes to digitalization, when it comes to tech, when it comes to AI, when it comes to software development, when it comes to web design, and many of the other things that we can talk about in the digital world. Now, there are a number of people who are scared, who are wary, who are not so sure. They feel it's risky, especially when you've already had maybe a 9-to-5 that you're doing, or maybe you have your own business, you're selling shoes, you're selling wigs, or you're even a graduate of medicine or something. There's this urge or surge currently that requires or the demand for youths across the globe to move into tech. People are saying, take advantage of tech now, take advantage of digitalization now. And now I want to, based on your own personal experience and maybe some of the things you've gathered personally, how easy do you think that conversion is? I know our topic is talking about the money part, but the truth is that in our society, especially in Africa, we know that there are parents now raising their children to want to learn something in tech, maybe outside of school. But there's still a major cost. We still have that mentality that our children should learn, should be an engineer, doctor, lawyer, musician, actor, and all of that. Then most people still see that tech as side hustle. So that's why I'm bringing up this question: that how easy is it for someone, a young person out there who is looking to become a tech expert, who is looking to make money from digitalization? How easy is it for such a person to transition?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. So it's something that really needs to be addressed because, like you rightly said, tech is like a trend that everybody wants to opt into, but it has negatives and it has greaties, it has ups and downs. So the fact is, and it is the very fact that it takes a lot of sacrifice, especially if you have a 9-to-5 job. Like you said, you know about my story. Despite having a 9-to-5 job, you still have to take time to practice over time, because people pay experts. People don't pay you to rehearse with their projects. So you have to take your time to build your own personal portfolio through personal projects and volunteering. So these are the stages you have to pass through. At every point of my journey, while in NYSC camp, while working with an organization, I was volunteering for things I was not even paid for. So, and these are things that would reflect in my portfolio as things that I've done. And the time it takes to learn, initially we were joking about watching football and doing many other things. You just have to reduce a lot of other activities if you have a 9-to-5 job already, and use the time to is to network and to join communities. It is very important to join communities because there you would have a hint of what is going on, the trend, and you would always have people to put you back on track. And another important thing is to share your story. So it is very good to share your story as you move because it has become a personal habit for me to share my story so that people around me will be the first person to recommend me when there is opportunities. Like I don't even have to be big when my name is mentioned on big tables because they already believed in me through the fact that they saw me sharing my story, they witnessed my progress, and they can attest to it that, okay, we can trust this person with this particular service. So I think those are the basic things. If we get this right, it would be easy, so to say, to transition into tech.
All right.
Okay. Thank you so much. So moving back to the basics, I saw a tweet of something on social media saying that the person asked what does delusion look like, and then the person said that, oh, it's you going into tech and thinking you will get a job in about 3 or 6 months time, or even lesser than that. So I want to ask, okay, what's the average time you have an interest in a tech skill, in a digital skill, and then you go into it, you start learning, you volunteer, you have personal projects, and you put everything in your portfolio. So what is, how long should a person wait for, or how long should a person hope that he or she can get a job in the digital economy? Because many people are going into this field not because of the passion, so to say. Not many people are, if you take a poll, not many people are so much passionate about it. It's because the money, there's money in tech, and we all know it. You have enough of the foreign currency and all in your account. So how long do you think a person should wait for? How long did you wait for before you landed that dream role or dream job that you wanted, and before you moved on to say, oh, I want to have my own startup? So how long it is, or how long should people prepare and wait for before they can get the job of their dreams in the digital economy?
Okay, that is also very important. Like these questions are what people really need to know. So using myself as a case study, I was introduced to programming in the year 2015, and that was after my ND program as an accounting student. And ever since then, I have been practicing. I remember during school days, I volunteered to work with a lecturer. So I was remunerated, but at least it was just the beginning. And it was a continuous process on and on and on. And I know many friends as well, people I met along the road, people I met in 2017, 2018. So the fact is just that tech in its real sense, in its raw format, it's just like any academic system. Before you can reach a level of expertise, basically you have to be like a year and above. It is only a very few minority, because we know we have people that are extremely brilliant, that they just pick up hard concept and they're able to crack it. Because there's something about tech. It is not about learning it. It is about solving problems. You could know a lot of things disjointedly. You could know a bit of this, a bit of that. You could even talk about it. But if someone brings a problem to your table, can you be able to convert it to digital solutions? And that is the hardest part. Many people can talk about it, can do this, can even show you illustrations. But it takes time before you can be able to like bring word problems, like from mathematics, they call it word problems, and convert it into digital problems, digital solutions. So it takes a year for the basics. At least you'll be familiar with the ecosystem. Then with constant practice over the next 1 year, you can build your portfolio, you can volunteer. But if you are consistent, I think from experience, based on my own story and people I know around me, like averagely 3 years for a regular individual, you're not a genius, you're not a scholar, there's nothing so special, you're just someone trying to learn. So you should be able to get something out of tech, but you have to pay the price, which is constant practice, like constant volunteering, following the community. Like virtually everybody I follow online are people within my field, because I get the update of what is happening around me, and I don't stay outside the loop. So for extremely like lucky people, within 1 year, within 6 months, we had people that made it, but they belong to like 5% of the population. And there is another thing that is not obvious. There is a trend in tech, like how many people are learning today. So it's only like 20% of people that learn that were able that are actually able to make it to the extent of making money. It's not because it's hard. It's not because, but it's because, like you said, money was the drive. So even if you are coming into tech, there are various branches in tech. You have to look for the one that you personally
Sparks
can
your
relate to,
interest.
so that outside the money, yeah, that sparks your interest, so that when it gets harder, like you still have a reason to stay. Because if money is the reason, and you are not getting the money in the next 1 year, and the thing is not even interesting to you, definitely you are going to drop out at some point in time. But me as a person, even when it's at the hardest point, I would just want to know the reason why go at this point and I have to move to the next level, because I want to come out a champion. I see it as a passion, I see it as an interest. It's something I do spontaneously. Like, so that is basically like what it is.
Okay,
And how
yeah,
long it will take.
you've mentioned something about picking the place or the part of tech that interests you. Now, I know that there are quite a number of people out there that they're interested in tech, maybe like Grace said, for the money. But then sometimes money can be a very good motivating factor.
Exactly.
I don't consider it a bad thing entirely. In some cases, maybe it's bad, but in some other cases it could be for the positive. Where I'm going is that there are a number of people that want to join, that want to be a tech bro or tech sis for whatever reason known to them. But many people are wary of numbers. Now, when you hear tech, when you hear software development, when you hear AI, when you hear almost anything that has to do with
UI,
tech,
UX, data
UI,
analysis,
anything. What comes to mind most of the time is coding,
1 and 0
numbers, binary, 1 and 0, 0 and 1, and all of those other stuff. And aside that, you have there are things that you do on the system. I've seen a lot of tech people work, and I'm like, how do you even understand all of these things in front of you? And a lot of people are interested in it. Now, how would the person who does not like numbers, okay, let me first say, is it even possible for someone who does not like numbers to be a tech person?
Yeah, definitely, because like I mentioned, there are different aspects in tech. And there's
Okay, so
something I
how are
want
they
us
going
to
to cope?
understand
Or
about
what other
technology too.
aspects can they get involved in?
So the fact is just that not necessarily everybody will become a software developer, but everybody has to have to up on the trend based on your line of study, because a lot of solutions are being developed for different fields. So you just need to know what is going on in order to take advantage of it. It's for example, artificial intelligence that everybody is afraid about. Like it virtually makes me developer more happy. Go search less. I can just write like a comment in my code and it generates the snippet. I would review the code, correct it. This would take me 2 hours of Google searching. So like it's actually helping me in the journey. And there are like, for example, there are other fields where we have like UI, UX designs, the product design. So for this field, you don't necessarily have to write a code. You just have to have good appreciation for designs and like communication of brands to others. So if you are someone that is good with that, they can fit into those aspect of tech. And there are other no-code solutions, especially with the advent of AI. Although you won't be able to build things that are extremely very particular, but you'll still be able to solve people's basic problem, because something like WordPress has existed from time immemorial, that people learn to develop landing pages for websites. So you might not be able to do a lot of things in WordPress when it comes to like startup, like, and you have to do something very specific. But with that, you still have the understanding of what is going on in tech. And we have people like we call developer relations. Companies need people to manage their developers. They have a form of like HR for tech people, people that are like intermediaries. So all these people are also in tech, And also, if in your line, your course, your career path, there is a tech solution that is used to simplify things going on in your area, you should know about all these tech solutions and everything that is related to it. Any writer right now would be very familiar with ChatGPT. You should be curious about, okay, what are the nitty-gritties? How can I exploit more? What are the other things that I can combine? What are the competition? How can this thing replace me, and how can I outpace it? Because every technology is built by man, and no matter how much we optimize it, it still needs man to run. So I want us to have that in mind. So there are a lot of areas that everybody can actually come into tech, which is not literally coding. So coding is one aspect of it, management and many other aspects, and no code solutions. It's also like on the rise now. A lot of no code solution out there that you can use to build websites, build applications. But for you to know, like, for you to do the most raw version of it, for you to be the one building the system, you might have to code. But someone that is not interested in coding, I believe you would still be comfortable with the no code solutions or other managerial aspects of technology.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so we have so many people that are self-taught tech persons or techies. Basically, there are many people that would come out to say, oh, I learned how to code in 1 year. I taught myself how to code in 3 months. I taught myself how to do this. I taught myself how to do that, and then they landed a job. Now, I'm asking this question because it's basically to enlighten other people. And then somebody out there sees that and say, okay, I also want to learn how to maybe code or do something other than coding in basically in the tech field, and then they start the journey of teaching themselves. Do you think that's sustainable? Do you think whatever it is you teach yourself can land you a job, or can ensure that you monetize your digital skill or your tech skill? Do you think it's sustainable? It's really, you know, the idea of being self-taught is, it shouldn't be a trophy that you should carry or a flag that you should, you know, raise and just wave all about?
Yeah, so actually it's always interesting and like an happy thing to talk about when you're self-taught, because in tech, basically, if anybody would help you, it would only be the introductory aspects. So anywhere you go, nobody can teach you to solve problems. Everybody would teach you to understand the basics. For example, if you are to learn programming language, there are common concepts. Would teach you how to understand data types, would teach you about variables, would teach you about functions, would teach you about classes, would teach you about data structures, would teach you about loops, would teach you about arrays, data sets, and all the basics. But it is now left to you to understand different programming patterns, different ways to solve problems. And the fact that technology is a trend that moves so fast. So what you learned yesterday is actually almost irrelevant in the next few weeks. So it is something to be happy about. But I want to let you know that almost everybody in tech is like self-taught but mentored. So like I have to like have that personal drive, because anybody that is like already an expert is busy enough that they don't even have time to teach others. So because there are a lot of opportunities available for experts, it's only if you are just starting and you don't really have the skill set to solve problems that would be having issues with landing jobs or gigs in tech. So most of the time, you have to follow up classes to learn the basics, introduction to tech, like all the things I listed earlier. By the time you're able to understand all those concepts and you are onboarded into the community, like as a techie, it is now up to you to learn more things, to keep like working on your skill set, to ensure that you are not left off, to ensure that you are always up to date, so that you can be relevant in the field. So virtually almost everybody is like self-taught. You have to continue learning.
Okay.
All right. I know that there are a number of advantages when it comes to being a tech person, and there are a number of advantages attached to the job itself, like working from home, working remotely, access to the latest facilities and all of that. But a number of people are not so familiar with the downside of tech as or digitalization, so to speak. So what would you say are the downsides to being a tech bro rather, a tech sis, a startup owner, a software developer, a UX UI designer, and every other thing that has to do with tech? What would you say are the downsides? I know that there might be downsides that vary. Maybe what are the challenges of a software developer might not necessarily be the same as an AI developer. But then I'm sure there are also some general downsides to the job. What are the downsides? And while you are talking about that, you can add some of the advantages as well.
Okay, thank you. So for the downside, it might not be a general thing, but at least it will still be applicable to majority in the community. So one of the downside is that basically you have to invest a lot of time. That's majorly some other things we suffer. You have to sacrifice some time for some. You have to shed off a lot of things that you really don't think they are really that important. So and personally for me, there was a point it was affecting my personal relationship with people because normally I'm an introvert. I communicate less. Now I'm in tech. I communicate less. Like always with myself and my system. But for some other people, they were able to manage it. I have a lot of people that still post online, do stuff, but still yet you have to invest a lot of time. There's no two ways about it. So that time investment is important. The number two is not really a downside because it's what we do every day. You have to ensure you have access to facilities like internet and power supply every time. So a lot of people face these problems, but me, I'm a person that I don't believe in problems. I believe in solutions. Like I remember my early days when I need to get this thing done, I had to get, okay, I don't want to mention a product, but so that I don't do like a free advert for them, a solar system that I have to pay in installments, just like I know I need power. And I even have to borrow loan to get a system because I know I need this system. And so, like, you just have to pay the price. Like, as a starter, I know it's always hard, like, to get almost all these things. So it's one of the downsides because other parts you might be able to navigate with maybe someone is helping you, but you have to have all these things available by yourself. I don't think tech has a lot of other downsides because so far it has been a great experience, and I think it's the same thing with many other people. So far, you love what you are doing, and like love what you are doing is very important because if you don't love what you are doing, you might be depressed because of you see others making it in this same thing and you are just not getting it. So that's so if you get depressed easily, please don't try tech. That's a free advice. Seriously.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about the future of tech in Nigeria. In the news today, the federal government has said that they plan to establish about different tech hubs in 7 states. So looking at this, looking at how well the government or the federal government wants to bring up tech or wants to basically push out tech in different states, it's a good one, but do you think that there is a future for it here in Nigeria? Do you think that it's sustainable? It's one thing to build tech hubs, it's another thing to ensure people are in these tech hubs and they learn a skill, a paying digital skill, not just any kind of skill, but one that can help the country and can help the society, that can help the society. So do you think that Nigeria is moving in a good step? And looking at the future of technology in Nigeria, do you think that we're on the right step really with everything that the government is doing, with everything that people, individuals, institutions, or tech hubs and all of? Do you think that everybody is actually moving in the right step?
Yeah, so over the last few years, tech has been on the rise, and I think Nigeria is actually doing very better when it comes to awareness in relation to technology and people picking up the skill sets. And I would use this advantage to talk about this opportunity to talk about the advantages as well, because tech is another easier way to get to import funds abroad. Tech is another easier way to um, kind of get solutions and to kind of like increase our GDP because all over the world since the coronavirus pandemic, there has been this trend for what do we call it? Remote work. where countries across the world are looking up to Africa in order to get talents. So it has been on the rise and is still on the rise. So for the federal government, especially the last administration, they have done a lot of work under the leadership of Issa Pantani, and I think we are still going to get it right, because I still believe there is still a lot of things that can be done, because I know we have, it should start from our educational system, from my own personal opinion. Like if computer science department is well equipped across all our universities, would see the outcome when it comes to like the product of computer science students, because it's always something that is heartbreaking for me when I studied accounting, like I can stand up to computer students and like I feel like at times I even know more than they should know. It should not be the case. So if we start from our educational system, we revamp the system, we ensure we have working system, and also like all the current policies, like there's this like 20 years plan. If they move on with it, the government is moving on the right track, and I believe we would be able to achieve what we intend to achieve. And for the individuals as well, individuals have been doing fine. For example, there are a lot of there are few tech hubs, and we also run a tech hub, and a lot of people have been coming around to train. So people are more interested in even knowing what is going on in tech. And so if we continue on this trend in the next 5 years, I think Nigeria will be in a better position.
Thank you so much, Abiodun Bamigboye, for joining us. That was really, really insightful. Yes. I personally enjoyed the program, and I also think our viewers must have learned one or two things.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for joining us this beautiful Tuesday morning. All right, viewers, that's how far we can go on today's episode of Daybreak Africa. I believe you've enjoyed every bit of the conversation from our Ondo studios up until this moment. From myself, Grace Cofie, and from all of the Daybreak crew, we're saying have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye.